We are seeing the reemergence of geopolitics and the use of a military force by a number of different countries and actors to accomplish their objectives. And when countries and organizations go to war, that makes the world a less stable place, and the economic shifts sort of amplify from there. So it's a much more unstable world.
Yeah. So what ramifications is that going to have on the global economy? You know, we were at the IMF conference just a month ago, and one of the big chapters of the World Economic Outlook was focused on this concept of geoeconomic fragmentation, that the more friction there is in the world, the more friction you find within blocs, not just geopolitically, but also, you know, you see it with economic policies as well, things like export restrictions, the worse the impact is going to be on the global economy. How do you view it?
Markets like stability, right? And we're entering this space where we're not going to have the kind of stability it doesn't look like. And so with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, don't forget Nagorno-Karabakh in Central Eastern Europe, Israel, Hamas, we're seeing, and even China using its maritime, its navies to intimidate the Philippines navies. So we're seeing this world in which military force is becoming a more used instrument by these different actors, and that, you know, again, conflict creates instability.
Yeah.
And look at the Black Sea Grain Initiative, you know, the war in Ukraine and the inability for Ukraine to export wheat, how the shockwaves across the global South and how it's impacting cost of living around the world. Those are the kinds of scenarios that I think we probably need to be better prepared to grapple with.
And I think, you know, when you look at the world complex today, you have to understand that there are also competing blocs. And I think one of the characteristics that emerged even, you know, before the Israel-Hamas attacks, and of course the Western response there has not been unified at all, but even with the response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the West were all very aligned, the NATO countries were all very aligned, but the global South isn't as so clear-cut when it comes to their desire to defend or support Ukrainian military efforts. What can we extract from that?
You know, that is the central challenge, I think, certainly that the Biden administration, and then actually the Trump administration before them were sort of thinking their way through. They call it strategic competition. And the idea is that the Western democracies, U.S. allies and partners that are democratically aligned, that our democracies are under assault by authoritarian actors, and that China, Russia aren't just using military force, they're also using economic instruments, economic coercion, political coercion, spreading disinformation, all the tricks in the trade that they can have, they're using against our democracies. And so the question is, how do we protect our democracies? How do we shore things up so that we can have this world in which we want to live in that advances human rights and respects markets. The global South is a key part of that, right? Which country is the global South going to align with more? And basically, the answer to that question is going to determine how the international political economy, how the international order is organized for the next couple of decades, right? The Biden administration is calling this the decisive decade. We need to take action to protect our democracies now.
Okay, so